Hey everybody, off the mic sports network here. Wanted to do a little bit more off the top rope stuff. There's some good topics coming around as we're heading into Elimination Chamber, but one of them is talking about the women's division because there's been a lot of consternation, and I know there's like a lot of tribalism with especially women's wrestling is especially weird because I think a lot of people just think Triple H hates the women. People were mad that, hey, the women had a great main event, but then they didn't advance the Jade Cargill story. Everybody needs to chill out. I think the women's elimination chamber match on Saturday. Like, think about this, guys. I think there's only four. There's four, maybe five matches on the card. I don't have the card in front of me. There's two women's matches on this show. There is a I understand that there's no titles on the line, but still, Tiffany Stratton's teaming with Trish Stratus, which is pretty damn cool. And then you've obviously got the women's elimination chamber, which has a ton of talent in it. But one thing I want to talk about here is specifically Tiffany Stratton. Because I think a lot of what the Tiffany Stratton push is right now could have easily been Sasha Banks' Mercedes Mone if she didn't decide to leave and sell out for the money. And you're seeing on full display what happens when you give it an inferior talent or somebody you think of higher and you give them creative control. It leads to whatever the hell this is with Mercedes Mone. And I'm not saying that she's not an immensely talented wrestler, maybe one of the most gifted in-ring performers I've ever seen, male or female, in my entire life. She is as good as there is. She has done it all in this business. But by going to AEW, she has highlighted WWE's Performance Center and their system in getting people to the main event level. No matter how you feel about Tiffany Stratton and how green she may still be, she is going to be in a high-profile match with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. If you remember 3 years ago, back at WrestleMania 38, Sasha Banks was supposed to be in that spot against Charlotte Flair. But then Ronda Rousey came in, Vince McMahon. And I think because feelings had been hurt because of Vince McMahon, I think, and Mercedes, because Mandalorian and all this other stuff that she had done in her career, she thought higher of herself. She went on the independent scene, went to New Japan, went to Stardom, had a great run, got herself hurt. But since she has come back and come into AEW back from injury, this has been, honest to God, it's awful. Because let's call it what it is. Mercedes Mone is a knockoff version of Sasha Banks. It's a worse version of Sasha Banks. It's all the creative control that Mercedes wants to put in her character, and it ain't working. And on top of it, she's not losing. So she's being fed all of the talented performers in the AEW women's division, beating them to the point where there is nobody left. And they're lucky that they have a potential option to get through this with Athena on the board at potentially in Athena's hometown of Dallas, Texas, coming up in July at All In. So, but then you compare it side by side with what Tiffany Stratton's doing. Tiffany Stratton literally got to the Performance Center in 2021. She has been in wrestling for 3.5, 4 years. And here she is about to have a match with Charlotte Flair. Is she fully developed in terms of who she is as a character and as a performer? No. But there's potential there. And now you can see why WWE was willing to bring Mercedes Mone, Sasha Banks back, but at a certain point. And once the price got out of it, they were like, fuck, we got so many talented people in this division. We've got Rhea Ripley. We've got Io Sky. We've got Bayley, who has been rightfully pushed. And yeah, people don't like that Charlotte Flair is in this match, but still, that is the way I kind of look at this match. And we'll see how it goes at WrestleMania. The way I look at this is as big of a stamp of approval on Tiffany Stratton as you could possibly have. Putting her in a high-profile match as the champion at WrestleMania against maybe the best performer, female performer, fair or not, because let's call it what it is. Charlotte Flair, if she went anywhere else, would still be very good. It would be very obnoxious and very annoying, but You're seeing full and well what happens when somebody who thinks higher of themselves goes off, gets the paycheck, has more power than they probably should, and it leads to what you see on television with Mercedes Mone. So if you're asking me who I would take long term in the future in terms of wrestling stock, in terms of who I think has a chance to be a massive star, not just in the wrestling industry, but also in Hollywood, and Mercedes Moné's already done stuff out in Hollywood and stuff, Tiffany Stratton has got so much potential. And I don't understand why so many people on the internet just want to piss all over this and think that she's being over pushed and overexposed and she's too green and guys, it is a statement in itself that this woman in less than a year won the Money in the Bank and won the women's championship and is now going to potentially be in one of the most high profile women's matches on the card at WrestleMania 41. So if you're looking at this as a Mercedes Moné Sasha Banks stan and you're trying to stand on your 2 feet and basically say, man, Sasha Banks is the greatest of all time, her legacy is absolutely taking a hit because of people like Tiffany Stratton. Because you can see that WWE is just doing fine. They're doing fine. Like with the people that they have. Roxanne Perez is going to be on the main roster, and she already kind of sort of is. She's still at NXT. Roxanne Perez is probably going to be in a similar spot as Tiffany Stratton is. And here's the difference with Roxanne. Roxanne has more experience than Tiffany. Roxanne is it potentially could be one of the future standard bearers of WWE, and not just the women's division, but the entire WWE. That's how special she is. She's still in the system. You've got Jordan Grace, who just came over from TNA. Stephanie Vaquer, who got the rub of getting in a high-profile match with Mercedes, losing, and then parlayed it into a WWE contract. And then, of course, there's Julia. And Julia has been known around the world for years. And Stephanie and Julia are going to have a match in 2 weeks. There's a story on that you can go look up, that Julia, I guess, is hurt. But still, this women's division is doing just fine. And I think what the rise and the ascension of Tiffany Stratton has exposed is how expendable Mercedes Moné Sasha Banks was. Because I wanted her to come back. I was hoping and praying. Because Sasha Banks, when she was under WWE control, was maybe one of the great women's talents and one of the most over talents in WWE. You see her in AEW with bad creative and all the creative control. She's unwatchable. That's all you need to know. It's not a good look for her legacy. It's not a good look for her fan base. Even if you want to stand up and potentially, stand up and believe that she's still the best in the world. She's not. She's not. And people are going to come after me for saying this. Gun to my head. You told me who I would rather have right now. And I know in a straight wrestling match, it probably wouldn't be fair. I'd take Tiffany Stratton right now. I'd take a hell of a lot of performers on the WWE roster over Mercedes Moné. And if you want to tell me, oh, she's a champion, she's 4 belts, Moné. Guys, that's not good. Just holding championships does not help anything. So this is the price you pay. Like she says, this is the price you pay when you mess with Moné. She's messed with money. She's cashed a paycheck. She's checked out. She's not losing to anybody. And Tony Khan's letting her do whatever she wants. Congratulations, you got the ego boost that you wanted. But in the grand scheme of things, the big picture, we're gonna look back on this run in AEW and we're gonna be like, what the fuck happened to Sasha Banks? Why did she ever leave? So that's my thoughts on that. We'll have a lot more coming up here, heading towards Elimination Chamber. Thinking about and considering, and a lot of moving parts here, potentially doing a watch along around 6:45, 6:55 Eastern, 3:55 Pacific. The show starts at 7 Eastern on Saturday for Elimination Chamber. You'll get to hear Carly in the Peanut Gallery, which was very fun for the Royal Rumble, even though we had to do 2 separate streams because I had internet issues. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.